All right, this is No Excuses with Michael DiLeonardo. I'm your host, RJ Roger. Michael, how you doing, brother?
Oh, great. Great. It's a little late in the night, but it's fine with me. I feel wide awake with no
Yeah.
espresso.
Okay. Um, Real quick, just one more time because the last show I kind of asked you towards the end, but I want you to kind of explain a little bit again about that thing behind you. Can you explain that
What,
for me?
what thing?
That painting behind you.
Oh, you noticed it now in the beginning. Uh,
And now
I
I can
put,
see the whole thing. I couldn't see it before. I even see the little what's that thing called again? The emblem?
it's like triangle of Sicily.
Triangle of Sicily. Okay. All right.
But and there's the map of Sicily without no excuses emblem in it, right?
Yep.
And right here is the city of New York, right? And on this side is Palermo.
There we go. Okay. That's what I wanted you to do. Explain everything that's in it. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
so the American dream, the American foundation, when they came here across the country, and the patriotism, a lot of these guys fought in wars. Don't forget, a lot of guys in the mob were patriots. My
Yeah.
father, a lot of wise guys, captains, became bosses. They were in World War II, Korean War, etc. So it means a lot that they intertwined with Sicily and crime and the country. So means a lot that into that painting that a very dear friend of mine did, and I didn't know it was a complete surprise. He showed up with it, um, and I had asked him. I says, "Would you willing to do this as an artist? Would you want this a hobby of yours?" I didn't even know he had this hobby, really. And he says, "Yeah, I'll paint. So if anybody's interested, maybe you want to put your own country up there with your family name above the American flag or wherever how you want to create your own design, sort of, and I'll put you together."
All right. Yeah. That's great. So, guys, if you're interested in a painting or anything, or you want to know more about this painter, reach out to the show, and we can get you in touch with the painter if you have any interest in. From the last live we did, I got like 3 or 4 people that sent emails in wanting information about this. So there we go.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So Michael, Chris Paciello. So let's jump right into it. Can you tell me a little background on him? Do you know where he comes from? Where's he born? How does he get involved in the mob? X, Y, Z. Just give us a little bit of history before we get into a story that we're gonna have you share about him.
All right. Chris, I used to know his father. His father used to play football. Was a tremendous football player. Um, and he's played Dyker Park and other places, but I met him in Bensonhurst, Dyker Park. Really good football player. And then later on, I heard about a son of his in the street. Had a very good reputation in the street. A lot younger than me, my junior. But nonetheless, he was a guy that made his mark in the neighborhood as being a stand-up kid, and very capable of. Uh, I would say a good thief, a very good thief. And later on, I would find out a little bit more about him, his dealings, because I got directly involved with something with him.
Okay. All right. So he was never, well, I know at first he wasn't, it was kind of some debate on who he was even with because at some point he was with I think I even read stuff about, I think Bill Cutolo tried to get involved with them at some point or wanted him with them. And the Gambinos were saying, no, he's with us. And then, so there was some debate on who he was even with at first. So,
Oh, there's more people than that, RJ. Listen, when you start making some money, everybody finds you. Everybody's looking to stick that flag, like that flag over there. Like when you go on the moon, they get that flag you stick in the ground. Chris Paciello became the moon at this point because he's making big money in Florida. What happened was he wound up buying a club uh, that had opened down there in Miami. And Carlo Veccarezza and some other guys had invested in the club, and they called it Mickey's, I believe. And Chris had something to do with it. He wanted to buy in it. The place burnt down, and there was a beef over that. But Chris wound up settling pretty good in Miami. He left New York, went down to Miami, and made it big. Very likable, very personable, hooked up with the right people, and made a name for himself down there. And started opening up some clubs. And some of the clubs were smashed. You couldn't get in them. Lines around the block. So when these things start happening, he starts making his mark and starts making some money, so-called like legit money, in the street. No more burglar as far as we knew at the time. He was doing the ATMs, robbing them, the night drops and all that stuff. So he was down there, he's making his mark pretty good. And known, like I said, with a lot of celebrities. So Johnny Rizzo, who was with us, he was a soldier. At this time, he was with Jackie Nose. He got transferred to Jackie Nose from Jack Giordano. His daughter went out with Chris, and they were very friendly. And it wasn't going out at this time. Johnny Rizzo started to make a move to try to bring Chris to us. Also, Wild Bill, through some guys, younger guys around Bill, also who Chris was very friendly with, staying with at that time, made a claim. They're saying they were Chris was with them. TG, the Banana family, made a claim because he knew his daughters also. Don't forget Sammy's daughters, Johnny Rizzo's daughters, TG's daughters were very, very friendly. They were very close. And, of course, Chris knew all the fathers. So everybody was making a claim over Chris because Chris was making a lot of money. All of a sudden, the kid everybody liked him, and he became important in their eyes. So Bill was battling with Johnny Rizzo. Johnny Rizzo and TG, I got to explain this relationship. Johnny Rizzo and TG were very, very close. Very close. So they were going back and forth trying to put Bill in the box that he's with one of them. Either Johnny Rizzo, Gambino family, TG Banana family, right? And of course, Bill's with the Colombos. So it was becoming a problem. They couldn't fix this beef. So Jackie comes to me, being I was the liaison for the Colombo family, and I had a very good relationship with Ali Boy Persico. So I had spoken to Bill 2 or 3 times maybe over this, and he dug his heels in that the kid's with him. And I call him a kid, but he's a man. He did manly things. He can put himself on the street. He put his balls up. But he had a relationship with guys around Bill, like I said, and a good relationship as far as we all could see. He was close with these guys. And Johnny Rizzo is just an older guy who was making a claim on him. I really didn't see the attachment there outside of him just making a claim that he wanted a guy with money, which I'm not going to go argue with another family and be wrong because a guy has a value, right? So I speak with Johnny Rizzo about it, go see Bill, like I said. Then I hear TG's name involved in this, that he was going to claim him. I go back to Johnny Rizzo. I said, what's this about with TG? I'm hearing he's claiming him too? He's your friend. Matter of fact, they may be gumbadas or something. I'm not sure. Well, he says, Michael, if we could do something with Chris, if you could get Chris here, we'll do something. We'll make a partnership with us. But we're going to get TG. He said, I already talked to TG, and TG is going to say, yeah, he was really with Johnny Rizzo, right, with our family. TG is going to back him up. They're going to go into cahoots, the two of them. And I'm looking at him saying, are you guys kidding me? I'm looking at this guy. He says, I'm going to go like now because the beef has to go to Alley Boy, who's the active boss of the family. I'm going to go lie to this guy over a guy with money. So I run back to Queens, and I lay it out to Junior. And I says, look, everybody's lying here. I don't know who's telling the truth. But Jackie and Johnny Rizzo want him. They said they're going to work with TG to get this guy here. I says, and the Colombo guys, from what I just found out, and I heard another little snippet while I was doing my due diligence here, that there was a guy named Johnny Pate who flipped. He was a skipper with them, with the Colombo guys. And I had heard Chris originally was with Johnny Pate. A lot of names here, I know, tough to follow, but watch it again, the video. You'll get it. So I told Junior, I says, look, I says, I can't go there and lie to this guy. I says, I don't like exactly what Johnny Rizzo just told me about him being in cahoots with TG just to get this kid over. So I go back and I tell Johnny Rizzo, I says, you sure you want this guy? You sure this is the way it is? TG's going to come up front? He goes, yeah. I says, John, why are you really pushing for this? He said, well, I want him with me. Why? He said, you know, I'll share something with you. He said, I think this kid robbed my house. I said, what do you mean? He said, I think he robbed my house at one time. I says, you're fighting to get a kid with you that you think may have robbed your house? He goes, yeah. I said, so where's it going to be, get even time? He says, no, Michael, he says, I'm telling you, you and I were going to open up a club in Manhattan. I talked to Chris about it. I mean, Johnny Rizzo talked to Chris. He wanted to open up a club in Lower Manhattan, like Tribeca area at the time, right? He says, we'll be partners. And I'm thinking about, you're going to tell me if I'm partners? No, the family's partners automatically. You're going to tell me you're going to give me it. And I tell you if you get an end at this point, right? So, yeah, it's true. I mean, the guys think they're slick. You know what I mean? It don't belong to me. It don't belong to you. Everybody, the family belongs to somebody else. But now you want to make me a co-conspirator in your plot, right? And I got this really good relationship with Alley Boy. So Alley Boy's having the same beefs. I reach out to him. I go see him. And I explain it. He says, yeah, I heard. He says, Bill says he's with him. I said, Johnny Rizzo saying was with him. And now TG, he goes, yes, TG's in the mix here. And I don't mention Johnny Pate at all, which is his guy, a skipper that flipped. So he said, what do you want to do? Well, let's set up a meeting with them. He said, okay. Pick the place, time. I picked somewhere in Bay Ridge, a restaurant. And Johnny Rizzo's there. TG don't show up. He sends Porky to talk for him, right? Which was a little strange. TG should have showed up. Alley Boy, Wild Bill, and me. I was sitting around. And each guy has their chance to speak. And Porky's there. He really don't, you can see he don't have the drive for the fight here. He must know it's bullshit, you know? And Porky, they really rather call him Porky's over the cartoon character. He stuttered. Porky's a nice guy. He's a man. I'm not taking nothing away from him. But when he spoke, he stuttered. And Alley Boy never sat with him. I had to introduce him. And you could see Alley Boy saying, like, what's this guy, just nervous? You know, you could see his face, like, because he was stuttering when he was speaking. So Bill and Johnny Rizzo are going at it, back and forth. Basically almost calling each other lies without saying you're a liar. They're going back and forth with each other's story. So I look at Alley and says, Alley, want to step on the side and we'll talk about this? He said, yeah, come on. So there's a little vestibule, a little corner we get into. I said, you know Bill's lying, right? He goes, you know Johnny Rizzo's lying, right? I said, they're both lying. So he goes, and what's with this fucking guy stuttering? So we both laugh at poor Porky's expense. His real name is John. I'll call him John from now on. I said, at John's expense, he's like, Allie's frustrated now. He got TG didn't show up, which is a skipper. He should have been there. He's supposed to be at the appointment. So Allie was a little pissed at that. So he says, well, what do you think we should do? I says, well, how are we going to win this? They're all lying. We agree that everybody's lying here, right? So he goes, yeah. He says, well, what do you suggest? I says, how about this? Let's do something against protocol. Totally against protocol. How about we call this kid in and we let him pick where he wants to be? Now, I know he ain't going to be with us. He's going to pick the Colombo guys, Dom, Rico, and all the other kids he was friendly with. I call them kids. They're all men. A lot of them went to jail and everything on stock market and stuff like that. But being there, my junior is just my ways presenting this. So he goes, you want him to pick? I said, what's the difference? What's the difference? Let him pick. We'll get this out of the way. And What I could have said was, why don't you and I split this guy, and whatever he does in Florida with any clubs, we'll whack up the money. I didn't want nothing to do with this at this point. There was just too much involved with my relationship with Allie to even try to compromise anything later on, to be down the road to be beefs, because Johnny Rizzo will be saying, he'll be looking to call him. TG be looking to call him because he feels him and Johnny Rizzo in cahoots, and this kid will be in the pickle anyway. And that's all I'll be doing is fielding beefs down the road. So my point was, it ain't worth it. It ain't worth getting into this. Just let me release this guy, because I know what he's going to do. So now, Junior don't know what I just said. I had this decision-making capacity. I told you this once before in another show, that I can make that decision. So he said, okay. So he said, I think he was in Florida, Chris, at the time. And he said, I'll get back to you with a meeting. All right. He said, Michael, you pick the spot when I get. So I do pick the spot. Meeting comes. We go to, I picked a warehouse somewhere near Docks. So down the block from where Docks used to be. It wasn't functioning now. It was a warehouse there. It was a big bakery. They made wholesale bread. So it was a pretty big spot. So we knew the owner. I got a table in the middle of this place with 3 chairs. And it was at night. And Allie Boy and I were sitting there at the table first. And then the kid came, Chris. And he sat down. And you could see he didn't know what was going to go on. He didn't know if he's on the spot, he's going to be in trouble. He didn't know if we were going to grill him. So Allie tells me, she says, guys, you talk to him. I says, Chris, we have a problem here. I says, with everybody claiming you. We don't think it's fair. Allie and I spoke about this. We don't think it's fair. We're going to let you decide where you want to go. But before you make that decision, we want you to let you know they ain't going to be mad, and we're not going to be mad. If whoever you pick, you're not going to be on the spot with either one of us, and that's the truth. That's why we're here. So a deep breath. He looks. He tries not to look at me, and he goes, "I'll be more comfortable over here." And he points with Allie. I says, "Congratulations, good luck." He got up and left. We chatted a little bit, and we left. So go down to Florida. Chris treats me great. If I would try to get in his clubs, of course he let us. He was very gracious with a lot of people down there from New York, and he really shot up after that. Then he had some problems later on, but during the course of this, he's with Allie, and I asked Allie, "How you doing with Chris?" one time, and because Allie was in Miami a lot, he was down there, he had a boat down there. And he said, the kid gave me a watch, a Rolex, I believe. He says, I gave it back to him. I said, what do you mean you gave it back to him? He says, nah, I didn't need the gift. He gave him back the watch. For whatever reason. I don't know what was going on at that point. It seemed like he wasn't happy. He says, he gave me a watch. Again, I believe it was a Rolex. He said, I gave it back to him. I told him, I don't need it. So that's how Chris Paciello winds up with the Colombo family.
Well, I guess why would he pick? I mean, the Gambino family is the biggest family in the country. You got Genovese family, you got the Gambino family. These are the families that are like. It's like saying I got an offer from Harvard, but I'm going to take the community college essentially. So why would? Doesn't even seem to make any sense to me as just a understanding of history.
Okay, two factors. One being he had younger guys he was hanging out with and very comfortable with, right, was the Colombo guys. The other factor, he's got to go check in with Johnny Rizzo. In his mind, he may be thinking, I got to be with Johnny Rizzo. Maybe he didn't really like Johnny Rizzo that much. But I knew, like I said, I knew you picked them. They were his friends. He was hanging out with them. So why wouldn't you want to be there? Why would you want to be with some other guys you don't even really know that well, not that comfortable with? Well, I can't speak if he liked or disliked Johnny Rizzo. I don't know. But why would you want to be with him when you could be with or your friends.
How does it even get to this point? Because typically you're put on record with someone early on. You're with someone before you even wouldn't he have been with someone officially long before that?
Yeah, but maybe at the time when Johnny Pate had him around him, it wasn't like I'm taking Chris and putting him on record. Maybe it was just a kid associated he had around him and never went that far to put him on record. Don't forget, he wasn't Italian on his father's side.
Oh, okay.
He could never get made. His last name was Ludwigson.
Yes, you're right. He changed his name back to his mother's maiden name after later on in life. He changed his name. Yeah.
So he can straighten out. So, like I said, my investigation there was that he was with Johnny Pate. And Alley Boy didn't know it or needed the Wild Bill to ever bring that up, because it would have been over at that point if he just said that. It'd be nothing to talk about. Who's going to prove it? Johnny Pate flipped. And was close to the Persicos.
So, around what year is this going on, this discussion over? Because he started off doing crazy home invasion robberies. He was kind of making a little bit of a, because I know he got involved in that murder. I think he was involved in he was with a group.
That was early on.
That was okay. This is way after all of that.
Yeah, I'm not sure the year when that happened, but this has got to be 96, 97. So I'm gonna take a guess. I don't remember.
All right, this is late then. Okay.
Early on, they had the play name of the club was Mickey's Place, named after Mickey Rourke. The Carlo and some other guys invested in down there, and I believe that's the club that Chris took over. Then later on, it burned down. There was some insurance money and all this other stuff. But Chris made his own way. Chris didn't want no mobsters down there next to him. He didn't need anybody.
Oh, so it wasn't even a matter of him wanting to be with anybody. It was he had to pick some. It was a we're taking you kind of thing.
Yeah, look, not to say that he didn't. Everybody didn't know he was with the mob down there, because I was one of the first guys down there. That's our story for another day. I was called Bugsy. You want to be Bugsy Siegel? That's the Bugsy Siegel story.
Yeah.
So I think I told you. I don't know if we touched on it on any other show, but I was down there when Mickey Rourke took me down there way before things exploded. 1990, 91-ish. So Chris got himself down there, and he did it on his own. He really had no help. And he built his own rep. And down there, everybody looked up the mob stuff. There was a lot of guys. There was guys from Chicago down there. There was some guys that went into a place called the Forge, where Meyer Lansky used to hang out in Miami. Mickey Rourke was very friendly with the grandson, Sharif. Big, huge money people. The Forge was a slamming restaurant, a cigar bar, one of the best wine lists in the country. And he put Sharif with me. I met him, and I would go there often. I met Ali Boy there, and Stallone there, and a host of other people in this place. Really a hub. And Mickey really had a foothold in Miami. He was from Miami, Mickey. He wasn't born there, but he grew up in Miami area. Brett Ratner. I met Brett Ratner there through him before he became Brett Ratner. So I met a lot of people. Mickey had a lot of hooks, a lot of hotels there that he wanted us to try to invest into. Again, I'll save that for another show. But getting back to Chris at this time really built himself up.
So today, what's up with him today?
No clue. I know he's doing very, very well, but I haven't spoken with Chris in decades. I ran into, not true. I seen him one day where I was getting transferred out, and he was getting transferred in. And we talked for just a little bit. I'll tell you, I'll see you on the outside. One day we'll hook up.
Knowing New York nightlife, there was nothing like that in Miami at the time. There was like these little bars that you would go back and forth to and bounce around, but there was no real nightclub at the time. So Liquid really was that first nightclub, and I started bringing the big DJs back then,
right.
And nobody was doing that type of stuff. Alvin Klein, David Geffen, Kate Moss, Naomi Campbell, Madonna, the Estefans, Sylvester Stallone. Like, everybody was there, right? And I'm this punk kid from New York, 1995. I just had this little club called Wrist. I knew some local people. But opening night, this club is packed with every celebrity.
Wow.
And I'm just looking around like, what the fuck is this? What did I create here? You know, me and Ingrid. And every day you have Donald Trump, you have Oliver Stone, Al Pacino, you have Luciano Pavarotti, I mean, Andrea Bocelli. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Lack of intelligence was what made me so successful, because if you know, once you really learn the industry or learn any business, it's much harder to make a decision to do something because you know all the things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
And me, I just had the balls, and I just said, "Fuck it, I'm doing it," and opened it, and luckily we were very successful.
Yeah.
He went to California, I believe, when he first came home, and then he went to Miami, and I haven't seen him since. I never went to go look for him down there.
Good story, Chris Paciello. Thank you, Michael.
Sure.
Guys, leave comments, leave questions, leave feedback. Let us know what you think. As always, we'll answer in the comments section. So that's all we got. Michael, close it out.
God bless Patriot Nation family. Hope all is well. Keep your heads up. Summer's rolling around. Enjoy. Be careful.
Peace and love.